Just days after that, Maxwell was transferred from a federal correctional institution in Florida to a minimum security camp in Texas, which she, as a sex offender, would normally be ineligible for. At this new facility, as the ranking member talked about, and by the way, it's nicknamed Club Fed, we've heard reports that she's been afforded special privileges: puppy time, private workouts, personal mail, secretarial services. Attorney General Bondi, does a convicted sex offender like Ghislaine Maxwell deserve special treatment and privileges in prison? Yes or no?
Let me be crystal clear on this. No. And
Thank you.
let me keep going. No, let me keep going.
Perfect. Well, I
did not know she was being transferred.
I asked you yes or no.
She was not transferred to a lower level.
Mr. Chairman, please stop the clock and remind the witness of the rules.
Congresswoman Deborah Ross of North Carolina is not guessing here. She comes prepared with a timeline, a witness, a transfer, and a question the Justice Department still has to answer. Ghislaine Maxwell meets for 2 days with Todd Blanche, Pam Bondi's deputy, and Donald Trump's former defense attorney. Days later, according to Ross, Maxwell is moved to a minimum security camp in Texas. Then come the reported privileges: puppy time, private workouts, personal mail, secretarial services. Bondi says Maxwell deserves no special treatment. Ross asks the only question that matters next: who approved it?
To a lower
Mr. Chairman, please stop the clock and remind the witness of the rules. One rule she needs to understand here.
And I'm glad that we're agreeing. So when we're agreeing, we can move on to some other things.
But
I want you to know that every time she does get these perks, and it's been publicly reported, that the folks she's abused, the survivors who are sitting here, they see themselves as being denied justice. They feel re-traumatized. And I'm glad that we agree on that. But she should not be in that prison. And she needs to be moved back to a maximum security prison as soon as possible. But what she has told another committee here is that she won't cooperate with them unless she gets clemency from Donald Trump. It's just crazy to consider that she can be wielding this kind of influence within the administration. But that begs the question: who ordered her to be transferred to the minimum security prison that she was ineligible for? Who signed off on the special privileges? Was it Mr. Blanche? Was it one of your other subordinates? So please, can you tell us who sent her there, since you don't agree she should be there?
I said I do not agree she should receive special treatment. She was transferred, I learned after the fact, to the same level facility, and that is a question for the Bureau of Prisons. I was not involved in that at all. The same level facility, I don't know why, but you know, instead of talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, who hopefully will die in prison, you should be talking about Irina Zarutska.
I have a couple
who
of
died
other
on a subway.
Right, and I absolutely—
You don't talk about that.
I have been talking about it and actually helping with these issues. But we're going to move back to you.
I bet we are.
Yes, of course, because you're here to testify. That's what the whole point of this endeavor is. So of course we're moving back to you. It is all about you. So as we've heard, she took the fifth in response to every single question in that committee hearing. And her lawyer dangled the offer of clemency. Should Donald Trump pardon or commute her sentence? Should she be released from prison, yes or no? You said you hope she dies there, so I'm hoping the answer is no.
I already answered that question.
Good. I'm very glad. I really like this bipartisan agreement about what should happen with you.
But you don't want to talk about Irina Zarutska. You don't want to talk about
I talk about
murdered
her all
by
the
a
time,
violent crime
but
offender
I am not
in
here
your
to
jurisdiction.
testify before Congress. You are. That is your job today.
You are
That's what you're getting paid for.
obsessed with attack.
I want you to know that your own DOJ employee, he's recently been demoted and had some other problems, advises on pardons. Do you think he will be advising Mr. Trump on any kind of clemency or pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell?
I'm not going to speculate, and you couldn't even identify properly. That's why you don't want to talk about Irina Zarutska. You couldn't properly identify her relative.
I absolutely
It's embarrassing.
have been, and her family, by the way, appreciates all of the condolences, all of the help, everything that our law enforcement in North Carolina has been doing to help her family. Her family feels well treated. Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Gentleman from California is recognized.
I'd ask unanimous consent to enter into the record an article by former Attorney General William P. Barr entitled, "Why Pam Bondi Didn't Publish All the Epstein Files in 30 Days." The answer is simple. It was not possible, from the Wall Street Journal.
Well said. Without objection, the gentlelady from Florida is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry. May I respond 20 seconds to something that Congresswoman Ross said?
Go right ahead.
Thank you. She also opposed a sex offender registry as head of North Carolina ACLU. Thank you.
The most important moment in this clip is not the interruption, it is the contradiction. Pam Bondi gives Congress a clear moral answer. No, Ghislaine Maxwell should not receive special treatment in prison. Deborah Ross accepts that answer, then turns it into a record question. If the Attorney General agrees the treatment should not happen, who inside the system allowed it to happen? Ross brings names, dates, and sequence. According to Ross, Maxwell sat for a 2-day interview in July with Todd Blanche, Bondi's deputy, and Donald Trump's former defense attorney. Days later, according to Ross, Maxwell was transferred from a federal correctional institution in Florida to a minimum security camp in Texas. Ross says that, as a convicted sex offender, Maxwell would normally be ineligible for that placement. Then Ross places the reported privileges into the record: puppy time, private workouts, personal mail, secretarial services. That is the file Ross is building. Interview, transfer, privileges, clemency, chain of command. And the question is narrow: who signed off? Bondi's answer does not close that file. She says she learned about the transfer after the fact. She says she was not involved. She says Maxwell was moved to the same level facility. She says the question belongs to the Bureau of Prisons, but that is not accountability. The Bureau of Prisons is part of the federal justice system. So when Bondi says, "I was not involved," she may be answering a personal question. She is not answering the institutional one. Who reviewed eligibility? Who approved movement? Who knew before the transfer? Those are record questions. That is why the pivot matters. When Bondi turns to Irina Zarutska, she invokes another real victim and another serious crime. But in this hearing, Ross is not testifying. Bondi is. A pivot may change the emotional frame. It does not produce an order, a memo, a name, a date, or a file. Ross also raises clemency. According to Ross, Maxwell took the fifth before another committee, and her lawyer raised clemency. Ross asks whether Donald Trump should pardon or commute Maxwell's sentence. Bondi says she already answered. Later, asked whether a DOJ employee might advise Trump, Bondi says she will not speculate. That leaves the permanent record incomplete. A refusal to speculate is not a denial. A denial of personal involvement is not a chain of custody. A statement against special treatment is not proof that the system acted neutrally. For the public, this is what matters. Most people do not get special access to federal power. Most families do not get unexplained transfers after high-level interviews. Survivors do not get to watch the government explain why a convicted offender appears to receive privileges unavailable to ordinary inmates. This is about whether the justice system can still explain itself when the person at the center of the file has leverage. The record contains the contradiction. Bondi says Maxwell should not receive special treatment. Ross says the timeline suggests she did. Until the government produces the names, orders, dates, and approvals, the question remains open. Justice is the paper trail.